Hello, it's Jim. Yeah. Anyway, here's a fun fact. As I was going through and making some outtakes episodes, I discovered that there's just a whole unused question from episode 88. It was all about time travel. It had Justin in it. And we just did a whole extra question all about time tourism that never made it into the episode because we talked a lot more about other things. So we had to cut it for time. So here's that.
Well, our final question for this episode. If time tourism ever became a thing, which historical events would you go back and watch? Lots of them.
When I was doing research, I forgot that it said historical events.
Oh, okay.
Because my first one was I would go back and pet a trilobite, because I love trilobites so much, and they're all dead. So I would go find a real one and give it a hug.
I think that could count with my definition. The first thing I was going to say is probably because it's tourism, you can't interact with anything or like change the course of history. But like, yeah, I don't know. I would allow that, Jim.
That's fair. If you come up with the time tourism industry, then I'll be glad because then I can go pet a trilobite.
There you go.
Gentlemen, I have good news for you.
Go for it.
We're all white men. Which means we can go most places in time. That was my first thought. My first thought was like, oh man, like a lot of people couldn't do this.
Yeah.
Because it just like isn't safe for them to be around people.
So I was thinking, because one of the things, I cut off a lot of things in my notes because I was like, if I can't understand different languages or I would need some kind of translator or somebody with me, I just kind of cut things off of this list. Otherwise, this list was just going to go on forever.
Yeah.
Because I'm a history nerd. But I was, the way I've set it up in my head, and if this isn't the way you've constructed your fictional tourism time travel company, that's totally fine. But I have set it up so that I'm picturing a group of tourists going back and like having a guide who treats everyone well, like based on today's standards. And we're like in a protective bubble where like people in the past can't actually interact with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was.
Which is the much better way to do that. Yeah.
Yes. So because you're exactly right that there are people like of different ethnicities or something that might go back in time and just be killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ethnicities, genders, just
sure.
All sorts of people that can't go 50 years back in America's time.
Right. Yeah.
Let alone. Yeah.
So I settled down to 4 events, very meticulously getting rid of tons and tons more.
Yeah.
But these are the ones that my list just boiled down to because I figured I didn't want to just go on for hours. But the very first one is the beginning of the universe.
Oh.
I feel like it would answer a lot of questions.
Yeah. So actually, that's interesting because as long as the conditions at the beginning of the universe can't interact with you,
right,
then you're good. Because I was thinking about that myself, but then I was like, oh, but all of my atoms would get shredded and I'd die. So.
Sure.
But if we're stipulating that it's sort of like a video almost, then I'm down.
Yeah. So that's why I say that one first, because we might not. We might not be able to get that one to go.
Yeah.
That's a Doctor Who episode. Well, on the other end.
Yeah.
they watch the universe end.
Oh,
yeah.
That's going back to Christopher Eccleston. That's like where I actually
season 1.
I actually still watched the show back then.
There was an episode of Doctor Who, and it was the 5th Doctor actually, where the TARDIS goes out of control and almost falls into the Big Bang, and he has to like eject 25% of the TARDIS's mass to like kick it the other direction. So even the Doctor doesn't want to go back into the Big Bang; it will kill him.
All right, fine. I was being overly ambitious, I guess.
No, I love it. I want to go.
So I guess I'll just go in chronological order. I have 3 more. My next one is just I was thinking of all the historical time periods that I am fascinated by, and there's just so many. I'm not even going to say all of them now because I don't want to, because I'm only picking one thing right now. And I would be really interested to see civilization surrounding Alexander the Great.
Ooh.
Because I feel like that's like kind of the earliest civilization we really have any information about, but we still don't have that much. And I don't know. I think it would be cool.
I think, any ancient civilization, just being able to learn more about like the minutia would be rad.
Yeah, because I'd also want to learn about like what was going on in the Americas before we have any record of what was going on in the Americas, and what was going on in Japan and ancient
especially
Egypt.
I think the Americas would be interesting because not we personally, but the Spanish destroyed a lot of the records, and so we don't know that much about their society.
Yeah, and we have like European history dated really far back, but like we don't have records of what was going on in the Americas.
Yeah.
I would have to say I would definitely go to the Elizabethan era and watch a play at the Globe.
Oh,
right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
And my last one is another one. I feel like I've abused this premise a little bit because I'm solving mysteries. I would go back and find out who Jack the Ripper was.
Ooh.
And those are the 4 that I settled on.
You could subsidize your time travel tourism business by solving mysteries.
I broker in information that no one else could possibly have.
Yeah.
That's you'd have to figure that out though.
Yeah. You might get ripped.
Well, what I'm thinking, this is again, if they can't interact with me, we do have specific dates when some of the victims were killed. So, I mean, it would be morbid, but I could go and like catch him in the act.
That's true, yeah.
I'd be like, I know who that is. I mean, I guess I'd know what he looked like, and then I'd have to do a little bit more research to figure out who that person is. But
I mean, if he can't see you, you could follow him home and like write down his address. Follow him.
Yeah, and there we go. Abusing time travel.
That's basically Doctor Who.
That's basically, well, they haven't written that episode because they don't actually have the answer.
Right.
But Doctor Who definitely has found out who Jack the Ripper was.
Yeah. I picked one that was similar to your first one, and that is I would like to see the extinction of the dinosaurs, like the asteroid that hits Earth. I would like to do it from orbit so that I'm not extincted. But
right.
That's probably a good choice.
And then I also thought it'd be really neat to see like ancient monuments when they were new. So like I wrote down like the Moai on Rapa Nui. I wrote down Stonehenge, like the pyramids when they were brand new, and like the Sphinx when it was brand new.
Yeah.
Fresh out of the wrapper,
Those are all on my extended list. Specifically the pyramids, because there's a lot of engineering debate about how they were actually constructed, and you could be like, oh, that's the method they used.
Yeah. Turns out it was ramps and plumb bobs.
I've got a couple as well.
Okay.
I think I'd like to go back and watch Howard Carter open up KV-62.
Oh.
And like watch them unearth Tut's tomb and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And
like cool.
Because we have some pictures, but like it's like one of those moments that I feel like it would just be better in color, right? Just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to check out Qin Dynasty China.
Oh,
that'd be cool.
That was like Warring States period China, right? It's like the Renaissance, like Age of Enlightenment China.
Mm-hmm.
Like Taoism and Confucianism are in like full swing at that point, and there's a lot of art and a lot of like just like interesting things. We have things from that era. I'd like to see, so like, because like artisans were a thing then, right? Like Warring States were happening, but like art was not considered something that was like high society, but like if you were an artist, but owning art was considered high society. So like there were lots of artists to be around and see things. So like that would be a cool time period to be in, just like to see some of like the hustle and bustle of what almost like a philosophical, China would be like.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to go back and meet Siddhartha Gautama.
Oh,
well, there you go.
And maybe like before and after he Prince Siddhartha, and then like post Prince Siddhartha after he leaves and goes to find enlightenment. Right? I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
After Buddhification.
Well, but like Prince Buddha, like Prince Siddhartha Gautama, and then like on the way to enlightenment Siddhartha, right? Like not necessarily enlightenment Siddhartha, but working on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Then enlightened Siddhartha, then Buddha Siddhartha. So like 3 different stages, like pre, during, and post
Yeah.
enlightenment.
You could just interact with him multiple times through his life, but do it out of order so that like the first time you meet him is not the first time he meets you.
I can get some enlightenment off of him and then maybe go back in time. And...
Ontological paradox. Yay!
Oh man, it's like River Song.
Spoilers. Spoilers, Siddhartha. You can't read this. even though it's not in Sanskrit, so you can't read it anyway.
Yeah, this is in modern English, which you have no perception. You have no concept of what that is. Oh, man. Are we good?
Think so.
I think so.
I want to do some time tourism. Get on that.
We got to get on the time tourism.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. So, as always, if you want to send us any feedback, you can email us at feedback@vaguelyscientific.com. You can comment on our blog. You can like us on Facebook. You can tweet at us. Also, if you have a question that needs to be answered in a vaguely scientific manner, you can email us at questions@vaguelyscientific.com. And we'll see you next time with our next full episode of Vaguely Scientific.